my gosh. Hey, I'm so proud of myself. I figured it out. I figured it out. I'm so proud of myself. When I figure new things out, I'm so proud of myself. Hey, I'm Coach Yolanda, owner of Evolving Spirit Wellness. I- I'm excited because I didn't know until yesterday that I had the ability to stream to Instagram, and there were some things that I felt were beyond my technical knowledge, but I figured it out. Hi, y'all. I am Coach Yolanda, International Spiritual Life Coach, owner of Evolving Spirit Wellness, and welcome to our Year of the Inner Child reflection. I don't even have a title for what's going on today. I am just grateful. I can't see a lot of what's going on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. So I'm just going to trust that everything is doing what it is supposed to be doing. If it is not, please let me know in the comments. Um, please let me know. Now, here's the thing, I can't see because I'm not as technical savvy as our girl Stephanie Perry. Like, I don't have dual screens. I guess I could use my phone, but I don't want to be too distracted because I'm like a squirrel when it comes to being distracted. So I'm just trusting that all things are working the way they are intended to work. And I'm grateful for your presence, whether you're watching live or the replay. I'm grateful for your presence. Now, what I do know is that Instagram may shut off if we go over an hour. That's not something that I can control. It is just something that I think happens with Instagram. So if we get cut off after an hour, that would be the reason why. Not because I just, jumped off and left you all. Um, I'm so incredibly happy that we are together once again, like, whether it's live or the replay. Last week, I was on vacation, and some things happened while I was on vacation that I'd like to discuss. If y'all would indulge me some time to talk about that. Um, Life has certainly made a change in an unexpected way. And so it's been a week. It's been a week and a day, a week and 2 days, a week and 2 days since my beloved asked me if I would marry him. And I'm not going to go into the details of the story. That needs to be a face to face conversation. Thank you, my love. Yes, Merry Christmas Eve. I forgot all about it being Christmas Eve. I feel like it's been a holiday for a week, my own personal holiday. But yeah, last Friday, my beloved was like, "So would you marry me?" And I said, "Absolutely. I would be a crazy woman to say anything other than absolutely yes, I will. Sure." It wasn't even a pause or something I had to think about twice, because that man and what that man and I have created is beyond anything that I could have ever imagined or hoped for. And I told him I was going to talk about him today. Um, I don't know anything else to say other than that I am incredibly happy. I am incredibly blessed. And I could not have created this if I had all of my faculties with me, like mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. If everything was balanced and harmonious and operating in the way that it should, I could not even imagine this. Thank you, my love. I so appreciate that. That is the secondary effect of all of this, is the amount of love and support that we have received My beloved said he was doing his minding his business at work the other day, and someone came up to him and was like, "Congratulations on your engagement." He was like, "I don't know who that lady was. I don't know how she knew." And I said to him, because this is so much more than the two of us, this is really a testament of grace, beauty, miracles, all of it, all of it. And we are happy to share pieces of it, not all of it, but pieces of it. I told a friend the other day, and she was like, "Oh, you're going to be a beautiful bride. I can't wait to see it." And I'm like, "Girl, you probably won't see it because we've already talked about doing that in a private way. As much as people are happy and supportive for us, there are pieces of this relationship that I would love to keep sacred and private. And so we don't know how it's going to unfold, but I am overjoyed. And I'm overjoyed. This man, whew, this man cares for me, supports me from the very beginning, even before we decided to create a romantic relationship. He was a supportive and loving being and presence in my life. And if what we have been able to create together is just a small piece of what is to come, I just hope my head don't explode. I just hope my head does not explode from being loved so well. Let me also say I am dressed down today like I'm, about to go fight someone. Um, because it is Christmas Eve and, grandbaby girl will be arriving. Um, I'm really in family mode. And so um, a lot of the reason why I was even in a place to receive the type of love that I am receiving is that I had to identify where all of my energy, focus, and attention was going. And it wasn't with family, it wasn't with my personal life, it was business, 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 business. And I had to reevaluate, is this the type of life that you want? Is this the type of life that you're really interested in creating when everything is going towards um, your business? And even having a spiritually centered business, it's still a business. There are still things that need to be done in particular ways, and that require my attention. And it was out of balance. There was a whole lot of giving, 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 and not allowing myself to receive what I deserve, what we all deserve. And so I had to create that balance. It's no one else's fault. It's no one else's responsibility. It's something that I had to create for myself. And so I'm grateful that I was able to do that in a way that didn't break me. It certainly made me question my purpose and what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. Um, but hi, beloved. There he is, y'all. That's him right there. But it certainly made me question what type of life I was going to have. I have adult children. I have a granddaughter um, who who need me, and not in the way that I think. Not necessarily in the way that we think our families need us. They need our presence. It's like, are you present? Are you present in a way where people can see you, hear you, and understand who you are? Or are you so busy doing in other places and spaces that the people who should mean the most to you don't get enough of the true you? They get glimpses, they get, weekends, they get a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and they're not really getting the essence of who you are. That for me was so out of balance. And it's not something that can be cured with money, with gifts, considering we are, in the holiday season and everybody's buying, buying, buying to give, give, give. Do people get you? Are you giving them the gift of your presence? Are you giving them the gift of who you truly are? Are you so busy trying to make everybody happy that you're unhappy, and therefore your family, your friends are not even getting the best version of you? They're getting the version that you think that they want instead of the truest version of who you are. And that is what I love the most about Mr. David Harris, is that I can be the truest version of who I am, and he loves me. And that is something that is unique for me, that I don't believe that I've experienced on this level. And that is why I am so incredibly happy that I can be my true self. I don't have to continuously explain who I am. And it's not perfect, but there is a willingness to understand one another. And I think that's all any of us want, right? As human beings, we want to be accepted for who we are. We don't want to feel like we have to pretend, wounds and all. Here I am. This is who I am. This is how I am. And are you willing to accept that, not judge it, not criticize it, and not try to turn me into the version of you, the version of me that you need me to be to make you comfortable? As I say to David all the time, no matter if it's funky or not, it is what it is. This is who we are. And I'm grateful that neither one of us is attempting to change one another or saying, you're not enough for me. Whew. Thank you, Jesus. Alrighty. Um, we are going to wrap up the year of the inner child this week and next week. And we might even go into the new year. I don't know, y'all. Everything for me right now is so um, lovingly unpredictable that I feel like I want to do whatever I want to do. And so we are going to do two. Thank you, Miss Erica. We are going to do two more inner child healing precepts, if you will, premises today. And then we'll have five left. We could wrap up the five next week. I don't know. Or go into the new year. I don't know. Um, I am clear about what the focus for this space will be next year. It will be all about liberation. It will be all about power. It will be all about how do you get to know your authentic self so that the things in your life are aligned and balanced and in harmony. I just watched a clip from I believe she's the CEO of Essence Magazine. I used to follow her. I cannot remember her name, but it was a powerful discussion about who we know ourselves to be and who we pretend to be. And if you can find the video, she talks about how, particularly Black folks, how we are about potato salad. Like if you go to a gathering and there's potato salad there, you want to know who made it, you want to know what's in it, how long has it been sitting out. Like we are very particular when it comes to things that we will eat. And yet we will place ourselves in environments that don't serve our needs, where we can't be our authentic selves, where we're unhappy. And for many people, and Marissa, I know you know what I'm talking about. For many people, it's our jobs, it's our family relationships, our friend relationships. We will put ourselves in places and spaces and environments that suck the power out of us. And yet we want to be particular about who made the potato salad. It's a great discussion, but it really made me think and pour in more to what next year will be for me, will be for a lot of us. We got to know who we are. We have to know who we are so that we can stop putting ourselves in places that are not aligned with who we know ourselves to be. And so for some person, that might mean, well, what is my purpose? I don't know what my purpose is. Well, next year, we're going to get clear about that. For someone else, it's like, well, how do I get very, very clear about the type of relationships that I want in my life? Well, next year, that's what we're going to talk about. We keep trying to fit the round peg in the square hole, thinking that if we push harder if we pray harder, if we, use our power in that way, then we can force things to be the way that we want them to be instead of recognizing that the power comes from within. And when you connect with that power within yourself and you are very clear about who you are, everything around you aligns. We keep trying to work from the outside in instead of working from the inside out. And so that is what we are going to be working on next year. It's going to be very liberating. It's going to be truth seeking, truth telling. Hopefully, the work that we've done with inner child healing has gotten you to a place where you are ready to see yourself authentically. I know for me, even in my relationship with King David, I was not being authentic. I was still using and utilizing old behaviors, thinking that it was going to force things to be the way that I wanted them to be. When you are clear about who you are, you don't force anything. When you are clear about who you are, you influence energies. You don't, match energies. I hear people say that I'm not matching anybody's energy. My energy is my own, and I influence the places and spaces that I go into. I don't wait for other people to become what I need them to be. I'm clear about who I am. Hey, I don't know where you are in the world, but I'm glad you made it. Merry Christmas, my love. Um, so next year is really about coming from your power center. Do you even know what your power is? If someone were to ask you, what is your superpower? Many of us would start with, well, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a this, I'm a. Mm-mm. Do you know within your being, your mind, your body, and spirit, what your power is? What your abilities are, what your capabilities are, and do you operate from that place? Do you recognize and feel like the sun does not shine until I am fully within my power? Is that the feeling you get? Or are you walking around waiting for life to look a particular way, waiting for people to be a particular way, waiting, hoping and just waiting for things to line up for you? Or are you lining them up for yourself? That's what 2024 is going to be about. And it's going to take us the whole year because we're going to go slow. For many of us, we think power has to be aggressive and strong and overbearing. Mm-mm. True power is peaceful. True power is the assurance. True power doesn't have to shout, doesn't have to scream, doesn't have to push or pull. It is. And so I would love for all of us, and that is my intention, for all of us to be in the space where we see ourselves completely. So if anyone has any idea that they can treat us, talk to us, or behave any other way around us, they will get the message very clear. Not with this powerful person, not with this energy that is emanating from this being. And I want us to walk in that, not when it serves us, not when we feel we, at all times, be aware of who you are, knowing yourself in such a way that if someone asks you, would you like to do this? You already know what the answer is. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to, no, that does not align with who I know myself to be. So it's a no, thank you. You get to that place where some of the things we're going to talk about today start to fall away. Those codependent relationships, people talking to you crazy. I'm grateful that even when King David and I have a disagreement, we don't shout at each other. We're not like I don't know who might have that going on in their life, the shouting, the screaming, the cussing, the carrying on. When you know who you are, you don't do any of that. You don't have to. You don't have to scream to be heard and to be seen. It's felt. It's felt. And so that's for next year. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited about everyone being very, very clear about what they want. We can list a whole page full of things we don't want. How about we get to a place where we are very clear about what it is that we do want and that we deserve it? And that we deserve it. Hello, my love. Hey, y'all. Can I, before I forget, let me also say thank you to those of you who are continuously subscribing, signing up, leaving comments. I did away with my website. I did away with a lot of things because again, I recognized that I was pouring into places that were not fulfilling me spiritually, personally, and we're not doing that. Not in 2023 and not in 2024 and not even for the rest of our lives. And so there were some connections that I lost. I have an email list that I haven't sent anything to. I haven't really been on social media as much as I used to be because I was very clear and intentional about where my energy and focus was going. Um, but I also recognize that because of that, I I'm not in tune to numbers and subscribers. And so I'll look every once in a while. I'm like, oh my gosh, people are still subscribing. People are still showing up. So thank you, thank you, thank you. From the top, from the bottom, and all the way in between my heart, I appreciate that. I am very intentional about creating a community. So 2024 will also be more about expanding our community so that it's not just me, but all of us, because we all have something of value to share. There are people right now in the comments who have so much wisdom to share. And if this space can be a place for us to do that, then so be it. If we're going to talk about stepping into our power, then we have to support one another in doing that. And so, if there is someone with a platform that can support all of us and seeing ourselves in a different light, then we should be supporting that. We are so busy supporting all this other nonsense. Let's get to the business of supporting the things that are going to allow us to stand in our power, whether that means standing in our power financially, professionally, spiritually, physically. Um, you know, would you say, Miss Love? Yeah. And let me just say that sometimes the things that don't serve you are some of the best things that you could do. We often think about cutting out those things that seem frivolous. Sometimes you got to cut out the things that you absolutely love and that are good for you because you know that there is something greater. Doesn't mean that those things don't have value, doesn't mean that those things are not serving you. I had a morning call for 4 years. It started on Zoom, then it went to Clubhouse. I had to stop. Not because it wasn't a good thing, not because it wasn't a great thing, but because the time, attention, and focus it required meant that that time, attention, and focus wasn't going into other places in my life. So that was a good and a wonderful thing that I might even start back up, but I had to let it go because I recognized who I was and who I was not in doing so. So when you are examining your life, don't just look at the things that are like, yeah, well, he's no good, she's no good. That's look at the things that are also good and have enough courage to say, this thing is absolutely wonderful in my life and I'm going to let it go because I have faith that something greater, that something more expansive is going to take up that space. And that's why I feel like I don't ever lose anything when I think about it in that mindset. So even if it is something that is absolutely good and great for me, for example, I was taking these vitamins that I know that were good for me, but they were expensive. And I'm like, listen, I can do this in another way. There's another opportunity for me to get what it is that I need in a way that doesn't, cause me to feel every single time I, didn't take the vitamin, I'm like, you know how much money you just wasted? You know how much money you just wasted? I was like, wait a minute, there's got to be another way. There's got to be a greater, more expansive way for me to get this need met. I just have to see it that way, think about it that way. So even if there's something good in your life, allow your mind to be expanded in such a way where you can say, I'm courageous enough to say, not right now, or no, not in this way, or this is not the only way that I can get what I need. I telling you, we can't just look at the dark points in our life and think those are the things that need to be eliminated. Sometimes the good and great things need to be expanded. And I think I shared this before. It was a speech that I've heard many people say it in different ways. My spiritual mama said it in this way, that there was a woman who, she was experiencing homelessness and she just kept praying for a bed. I just want a bed. I just want a pillow. And so she got a little tiny bed in a little tiny room. And it's like, if you had said and expanded the vision of the thing that you desire, maybe, just maybe, it wouldn't take all of these increments of, I got a little bed, now I got a couch, now I got a this, now I got a that. Expand and blow your mind out to say, this thing is good, but there is greater. There's always greater. There's always something more expansive. Sometimes the limitations we see in our life are there because that's where our mindset goes. We only see this when we could be seeing it like that. So don't be afraid to let the good things and examine the good and the great things in your life too, to say, do I need to edit this? Do I need to expand this? Sometimes we get something that's good and we settle for it and we're like, okay, I'm grateful. And I'm not saying not to be grateful, but why limit? Why place limit when there are no limitations on the good and wonderful things that are here for us to experience? And so that is also a part of it. And it brings me to two of the things that can happen when you're doing inner child healing, when you're bringing up all of this stuff. For many people who are on a healing journey, we sometimes don't recognize what healing can look like. And so sometimes, and towards the end of today, I'll go through all 10. But right now, let's jump into number 9. Healing can emerge in a variety of ways. When you start to do some healing work, when you start to see yourself differently, you might get downright irritable. And sometimes we think the irritable ways that we're feeling are a negative thing. That's a part of healing. For anyone who's ever had a physical ailment, whether it's a burn, a scar, some kind of wound, you know that before it gets better, sometimes it gets worse. Sometimes it starts to smell worse, look worse, it's itching. It's like, oh my gosh. That is also part of the healing process. And so if you are in relationships or experiences and you're irritable, trust that that's part of the healing process. Something within you is shifting. Everybody's getting on your nerves. You can't seem to find comfort anyway, and you think there's something wrong with it, you, all the while you're healing. The ways that used to work no longer work. And so there's this irritable sensibility about everything. If you're in a workplace and all of a sudden every single person in that workplace is getting on your nerves, it could be you coming through a healing of not necessarily seeing that place the same way, or you can no longer be who you were in that place and space. And our minds will tell us, well, it's got to be something wrong with me because I'm angry all the time. I'm irritable all the time. I can't stand going to that place. What could be happening is a new beginning is taking shape and form in your consciousness. And so, one of the things that can happen, particularly with inner child healing, where you're bringing up stuff from the past, you start to withdraw from people, from places, from things. You start to alienate yourself because you feel different. And you may not even identify it as healing. You might be identifying it as something else. So this is a an awareness that we all should carry, that even in your family relationships, when the dynamics start to shift and change, it's going to upset you and it may upset other people. And for many of us, that might make us go back to the old behaviors, the old ways. It's like, well, I stopped the people pleasing and everybody got mad at me. So I just went right back to people pleasing because it was easier. Healing is not easy, and it's not always pretty, and it don't always feel good. And so if you feel like that right now, with all of the stuff that we have been talking about and bringing to the surface, where you're just like, the end of the year, I can't wait for 2024 to come because I'm over everything. I'm over him, I'm over her, I'm over myself. Trust that that's part of the healing process and see it through towards the end. Don't go back to those old behaviors because it's easier or it was comfortable. And one of my good friends told me a long time ago, there was something that it was school when I was in massage school and I was getting frustrated and I don't want to do this no more and it's hard. And he's like, yeah, because you want to be comfortable. Well, comfortable is not going to get you where you want to be. You got to be uncomfortable. And you might be uncomfortable for quite some time as you are coming through this metamorphosis of becoming a different person. And so that's why a lot of people will go from one job to the next and you're like, this is the same job that I had the last time. One relationship to the next is like, this feels like the same relationship because you went for comfort instead of healing. So your healing may emerge in a variety of ways. When all of those wounds are becoming exposed, the band-aids being ripped off, it hurts. People don't see you the way that they used to see you because you're different. There's so many things about you that are different. And even when you are uncomfortable with yourself, you got to sit with that, live with it, even embrace it. It's like, I really don't like myself right now. And that's a good thing. Why? Because you're becoming something different. You might not even know what that is, but you know the old stuff doesn't work. It doesn't work anymore. It's not supposed to. It's not supposed to. And I thought I had done number 10. I did. I just didn't save it. But for number 10, survival mode. Many of us, as children, we learned how to survive because that's a natural instinct. Things happen, we learn. How do I get through this? How do I get through this in a way that doesn't really hurt me or harm me, even though sometimes survival mode winds up hurting and harming you even more? Children learn to be seen and not heard. Children learn to be people pleasers. Children learn to, deny their feelings. I saw that a lot this week in the childcare center. There were tears and it's like, it's a holidays. You're supposed to be happy. Or we're forcing the kids to go sit with Santa. If you've ever looked at Santa Claus, that's a scary, scary being when you're little. It's like, who is this person? Why is he dressed this way? I know that beard's not real. And here we go pushing the kids. Go sit and take a picture with Santa. And what do kids do? Deny that they're scared. Go ahead and take the picture because they know it's going to be pleasing for the adults. Here, take this, take that. That's not the toy I wanted. I don't want to play with that. Well, this is what you're getting. So be happy for it. Kids learn very early on to deny how they feel. And so then we have adults who are disconnected with the way they feel because we've been doing it our whole life. I don't even know how I feel about it because everybody has been telling me since I was little how I'm supposed to feel about things, which is another thing that we're going to be doing in 2024, getting very, very clear about what it is that we are feeling. We have so many things to distract us. from our real feelings. We're doom scrolling on social media, we're drinking, we're smoking, all because we don't want to feel. How are you going to get in a powerful position where the best relationship you have in your life is the one that you have with yourself if you don't even want to feel everything that's within you? So, that is another thing that happens when you are doing inner child healing. Survival mode no longer works. Survivors learn how to be codependent because what else are children except for dependent upon the adults to take care of their basic needs? And sometimes that does not leave us. We continue those codependent relationships because we tell ourselves, I'm nothing, or I won't be able to make it without this person, this job, this identity, this car, I won't be able to be who I think I am if I don't have these things attached to me. So I got to do whatever I got to do to keep them. I got to do whatever I got to do is a survivalist mentality. And it is such a powerless position to be in when all you can think about is surviving, getting your basic needs met. Jeez Louise, that is one of the most desperate situations to be in where you feel like you have to do something in order to make it day to day to day to day to day. How many of us are already thinking about Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, where you have to go to work? I have to go to that job. I can't stand that place. And they can't stand me. And so that is the relationship that you have chosen to be in because you've told yourself, I can't do anything else. I have to stay here. I have to put up with this. And like our good sis, the CEO of Essence, was saying to people, you are more particular about who makes your potato salad than you are about the job that you will take, the money that they will give you. You know, those people are not paying you what you're worth, and you take it anyway. And you don't say anything, just hoping and praying. If I'm a good employee, maybe they'll see and maybe they will reward me. And we can have a whole conversation about the capitalist system that we all live under and how it is horrible and we are working to dismantle it, but that's another topic for another day. What are you, as someone who is healing the wounds within your mind, your body, and spirit, what are you putting up with and why are you putting up with it? And where did you learn it? We learned it as kids. We had to survive. We had to do what we had to do. And it wasn't wrong. It wasn't the wrong thing to do. It's the most natural thing that anyone can do is survive. How many of us are still operating in that energy? I'm just going to put up with it. And maybe it'll change. And I'm just going to pray and pray and pray, and maybe it will change. How about you change? How about that? How about you be willing to let go of the things that are not equal to who you are as a powerful being? Hey, Ms. Mo, how are you? Erica says, yes, interview the job on my interviews to try to make right. When they say, do you have any questions? You better have a whole list because this is what I require. You want me to come work for you and do what is necessary to continue to make your company great? This is what I require. We've got it twisted. We got it real, real, real twisted. And then we take all of that stress that we might have on our jobs, we take it home with us, and we make the people that live with us pay for the power that we're not using in the places where we are using the best of us. I know that every single one of you who is going to a job on Tuesday, you are giving them the best of who you are, your intellect, your discernment. I know y'all are breaking your backs. so that that company can be great, so that the service can continue to run, so that people get the things that they need to get. And there are things that we are putting up with because we think we have to put up with them. Listen, and because you are willing to ask those questions, it may not get you what you desire, but it puts them on notice that we can no longer allow corporations, organizations, people, places, things, and experiences to treat us any kind of way and just be okay with it. You can't do it. But we have allowed it because it's something that we learned to do. Because in many ways, we look at these big organizations, corporations that employ us in the same way that we looked upon our caregivers and our parents. You hold the cards. You are what's going to make the difference between me surviving, eating, clothing myself, putting a roof over my head. So I got to go along with whatever you say is good. You get to tell me when I can take my vacation. You get to tell me when I can call out sick. You get to tell me. We got to flip that script. But if we are not willing to enter into experiences with that kind of energy, we can't be mad. If you stuck on silent, you can't be mad because the people are treating you bad. As one of my favorite authors says, Zora, if you are silent about your pain, they will kill you, and said you enjoyed it. And as I said to one of my colleagues the other day, it's like you can drop dead at that desk. I guarantee you they'll push your chair to the side and not even try to figure out or tell your family or support your family in you being absent. Survival mode does not work long term. It doesn't work. But we don't know that as kids because we're just trying to survive. And it doesn't mean that everyone came from this horrible childhood, like what's the Oliver Twist. I'm not saying that everyone had that horrific, traumatic upbringing. I'm saying we learn as children to be pleasant because that avoids a whole lot of unnecessary drama and trauma. I was reflecting on the type of mother that I was to my children. And I'm like, did I yell at them a lot? Did I? And I did. Like, I can almost hear some of the monologues that I used to go into when the rooms weren't clean or the dishes weren't done. And I, blah, 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 blah. Do you know? And I know because I did it when I was a kid, how kids tune that out. They're not even listening to all that rah, 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 rah. And we think we're doing something as parents instead of having conversations, communicating with people at their level of understanding. Now, you can sit down with a 3-year-old and communicate all you want. Their level of understanding is different than a 13-year-old, and so on and so forth. But if you practice that enough and it becomes the standard, as children are developing, they learn that my voice matters, that I can communicate my feelings. We sometimes do things because it's just so easier to do it, right? Particularly with kids. It's like, I'm not talking to this 3-year-old. They don't even understand. But if you consistently, continuously do it as their brains are developing, perhaps you are creating an expectation for who they are as they get older. Nobody did that for us. My mother was a fusser. And at some point, we learned to tune that mess out. It's like, it's the same old story. She gonna leave us. I'm gonna pack my bags and y'all gonna miss me. Yeah, 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 yeah. She never left, you know. And I know as a mother, I did the same thing. I'm gonna and my kids probably like, yeah, here she go again, you know. And we think that that is the way to communicate our needs, our wants, our desires. But if you can't even communicate your own needs, wants, and desires because you've been living in survival mode for so long, if you can't articulate it to yourself, how is anybody else supposed to know? How is anyone else supposed to know? Don't do a damn thing you don't want to. I love it. I love it. I love that type of personal power that doesn't just come with age, but comes with healing, where you recognize, wait a minute, I have been selling myself short. I have been participating in this imbalanced relationship. I have been giving and giving and giving. And not once did I ever stop to say, what do I deserve? And am I willing to do what I have to do to get it? We all do it. We all do it. They're not working. And because the old ways are not working, I'm telling y'all, that's why people are irritable. We think people are just irritable because everything is horrible. Things are shifting. Those things that used to be are slowly falling away, but they're falling away. I don't know if you are watching the shift of power. And the people who had the power, of course, they're going to be upset. If I was in control of something and I was the only one benefiting, and then people came along and said, yeah, that's not fair or equitable, we're going to do something about it. You think I wouldn't want to fight to keep it the status quo? Of course, the people are upset and trying to create laws that tip the balance back into their favor because we all went along with it for so long. But now that individuals are coming into their own healing and saying, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, we don't have to do things that way. And it doesn't mean that everything that was done in a horrible way. Sometimes things were done with the best of intentions. But when we take a closer look at it, it's like, wait a minute, we left some things out. We left some people out. We are requiring people to deny who they are for other people's comfort, and so that other people can continuously be in power and tell everybody else what they're supposed to do, instead of everyone utilizing their unique talents and gifts and making it better for all of us. And that is why we see all of this conflict in the world, because people are like, no, you've had your foot on my neck for far too long, too many generations, too much has been gone unsaid, unseen, and unheard. And I'm going to rip the curtain back. And I'm going to show you what's been going on. I'm going to show the world what's been going on. And they're like, no, don't be telling the people what we've been doing. And you're supposed to be grateful that we gave you a little bit. Whew. But how often are we doing that to ourselves? Where we're not speaking up for ourselves. We're not willing to do the work because it's difficult, it's challenging, it's uncomfortable. Yeah, and it requires you to give up some comfort and maybe give up some things that you got used to benefiting from. I was watching another clip where there was a couple, and I think it was the one of the couple's birthday, and the one person gave the other person a gift, and they were like, I told you not to get me anything. And they were like, yeah, I know, but I just had to. And so the recipient got upset. It's like, but I told you that I didn't want anything. And so here is the gift giver looking like they hadn't been told, but that somehow they've been wounded. And it's like, if someone tells you that they don't want you to do something and you do it anyway, that's manipulative. Even if you see it being a good thing. And that was their defense. Well, you needed it, you liked that, and I knew, you wouldn't get it for yourself. And they were like, but I told you not to get me anything. So sometimes, even when we're doing great and grand things for other people, if it's not what they need or what they ask for, please stop. And how often are we doing that to ourselves when we, are involved in things that we may not necessarily even want or like, but it's for someone else's benefit, so we go along with it. How often are you doing that? And ask yourself a genuine question. Does a little bit of you die every time you deny what you desire? And I'm not talking about the things where, there's an agreement. I have an agreement with my beloved. There are things that I just don't like, but because I love him, I'm okay with relenting. I'm okay. I don't like sharing my food. I just don't like doing it and haven't done it in quite some time. I now share my food with this man because I love him. It's something that I don't like doing, but it's not a huge inconvenience. And my love for him is greater than my love for food. So I am willing to share. So that's one example where it's okay to participate in things that you may not necessarily like because the greater good is I love this person. I do share my food. Don't you tell these people that I do. I do. I do. I shared. What did I share? I share. I do. But how many times are you, and you have to be honest with yourself, are you doing something that you know you don't want to do, but you're doing it to please other people? That's a betrayal of you. And I know right now that there are people wrapping up gifts that they couldn't afford. There are people overextending their credit, overextending themselves. Also, someone else can benefit. It's an imbalance. And where you are creating imbalances in your life, they will multiply. We think it's just, oh, I'll just do this one time and it'll be okay. No, you have now created an imprint of how you operate. And when January comes and the bill comes, and now you're scrambling trying to figure out, well, how I've overextended myself in December, I'll figure it out in January. You've created an energetic imprint of how you see yourself, how you behave, how you operate. Survival mode. We do it all the time. And the other thing about survival mode is it requires you to do something else. It's like, I got this far, and now I'm going to have to, do something else to get to the next step. And then I'm going to have to do something else to get to the next step. It's like an animal who gets caught in a trap. Well, if my paw is caught in a trap, I'm going to have to gnaw my paw off to get out. But now that I'm out, I'm bleeding. So now I got to figure something else out to get to just to survive. Operating that way creates energetic imprints that will stay with you. Yes, the bar keeps moving. Thank you, Marissa. The bar keeps moving because you're just like, all right, I got to this point. Now what? I got to this point. Now what? I got to this point. Now what? And what that does to your nervous system, whew, what it does to your nervous system to always be thinking of what move do I have to make next? What move do I have to make next? Okay, so I move some money from my retirement fund to here so I can pay that, but now I got to figure out, how do I make it to next month and the next month? Oh my gosh, I know what that feels like. And I know what it does to your nervous system. I know what it does to my stomach when I'm in survival mode, where I am denying the truth of the things that are right in front of me. And I'm just trying to pretend like it's, the house is not burning. Let me act like nothing is on fire. For all of us who are going to be in our matching PJs, knowing daggone well, we don't even like those people like that. We'd rather take a pretty picture than to clean up the mess that's really going on. Because, it's got to look a particular way. That's another survival tactic. That's another defense mechanism, coping mechanism, whatever you want to call it. It's something that we learn when we are children. Let me smile and pretend I'm okay, because if I look like I'm not okay, then everybody's going to start asking me questions and spotlight's going to be on me. And then I'm going to have to explain how I'm feeling. And I'm not ready to do that. Or I'm not in a place where it's safe for me to do that. And for those of us who had rough teenage years where we had to stuff our emotions, hide things from our caregivers because they just didn't seem to understand, I saw some commentary about, I'm not going to say who it is, it's a celebrity and their child. And their child was saying and doing particular things. And it seemed as if the celebrity was more interested in having everything look good than hearing what their child was saying. And I don't know, I'm not a celebrity, but I can't imagine if my life was being played out for millions and millions of people to see, and I'm a child, and I'm just trying to find some normalcy. But my parents are more concerned with, well, it's got to look good. It's got to look like we're happy. It's got to look like we're thriving. Meanwhile, internally, that child is going through turmoil, confusion, and they just want someone to hear them, see them. That doesn't stop when we're teenagers. It could be happening to some of us right now, where we just want someone to see us, hear us, but we're pretending that everything is okay. Let me smile and be goofy because that's what the people expect from me. That's going to go on today and tomorrow in someone's family dynamic because you're the happy, silly one in the family and they don't know that you're hurting inside. But you got to show up with the jokes and, and the levity because that's what it is expected of you. Meanwhile, you go home and your pillowcase tells another story because you cry yourself to sleep, or you feel like you can't share that in places and spaces where it's going to be received in a safe way and not be thrown back in your face. And God forbid you want to have a conversation with your parents about the trauma that you experienced as a young person and they don't want to hear it. And I know I have been guilty of that, where my children will say, Mommy, you did this. And I'm like, I didn't do that. I got to own that. If they said it happened and that was their perception, then it happened. And it's not time for me to be defensive and say, oh, no, that didn't happen. It's time for me to listen. But how many of us are going to get an opportunity to have that happen in our lives? If it cannot happen for you externally, then you at least have to do that for yourself. Don't lie to yourself. Come out of survival mode in the most gentlest way possible. But just know that part of that type of healing means that sometimes relationships will implode. They might implode. It might get nasty. It might get so uncomfortable again that you run back to the old pattern because you want to save face or you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings or whatever guilt trip might be placed upon you. You got to stand strong. But it's difficult to do that when all you know is how to survive. And I hope that the energy that we are taking into this next year is one of, I intend to thrive in all of the places and spaces that I am in. And not just for myself, but for everyone that I'm interacting with. How can I help you thrive? How can you help me thrive? How can I support you? How can we support each other to be the best versions of ourselves that we can be? We can't do that if we people pleasing, if we're denying, if we're not ready to have an honest look at where we were, where we would like to be, and what might be required of us. And as I said earlier, I had to say goodbye to things that I love a lot, people that I love a lot, experiences that I love a lot, because I know that there is something that space was occupying that could be greater for me. I'm going to always, hopefully, always see things as being greater. You know how you're doing something and it doesn't seem to be working, whether it's, trying to sew something, put something together, and it's not working, and then you try to force it. For me now, if I try something twice and it don't work, I'm like, this is not the right time, or there is something greater that needs my attention. Because when you're powerful, you don't have to force anything. And for most of my life, I thought power meant overpowering, being aggressive, being loud, being a bully, although my beloved says I'm still a bully. Like, I really, really thought that. Even when it came to our relationship, I had to learn how to just shut up. Because when that man speaks and says we're going to do something, I got to just shut up and stop trying to power my way through everything. My real power is in my silence. I'm so grateful. Yes, can we put it on a t-shirt? You don't have to force anything. Things just become because of the essence of who you are. It's like when I pray for something, if I've prayed for it, I can leave it alone. It's either done or it's on its way to being done. There's nothing else for me to do but remain faithful. I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I know it's going to happen if it's the best thing for me. Because sometimes we want things that we think are the best thing for us. And the whole time the universe is like, that's what you think is the best for you? Child, please. I got something so greater. It's going to knock your eyelashes off. Like, you over here praying for what? There is something so much greater for you that you can't even imagine what it looks like, sounds like. But if you believe and trust, yeah, you don't have to force it. You don't have to keep screaming for it. You don't have to argue for it. You don't have to question it. You don't have to force anything when you are operating from your place of power. But do you even know what it is? Are you waiting for other people to tell you what it is? Because they can't. Other people can't tell you where your power is. They can say what they admire about you. I'm so glad you did. I needed it today too. I needed it today because I recognize that I'm thinking, oh, I gotta. No, you don't. You just have to be. Be the thing, align with the thing that you say that you want. Are you that thing? Like, we all want love. Are you even loving? You want love in your life. Are you even loving to yourself? And you want somebody else. In Beyonce's song that I think plays over the credits, she said, I'm not expecting you to love me when you don't even love yourself. There's people out here that don't even love themselves, and you want them to love you? How could they? If they're unaware of what their power is, they can't do nothing for you. And you can't do anything for yourself if you don't know what your power is. And that the real deal Holyfield power is not the thing that makes everybody else happy, makes everybody, it's the thing that makes your heart sing. It's the thing that when you are in it, you just know it. It's a knowing. And you can't fake that. And many of us hide from it because it absolutely will come with a huge responsibility. When I went through my spiritual life coaching experience, and let me tell you, it was an experience. It wasn't a course, it wasn't a program, it was an experience. Um, One of the things that we worked on and had to come to grips with was the seat of our power. And it wasn't something that I didn't know, but it was something that I would never speak out loud to anyone else. It's like, I know that I have this thing within me, but that's my thing and I'm not going to share it with anyone and I'm not going to say what it is. And then when it was reflected back upon me, I was like, how y'all see that? Y'all saw that? Yes, they saw that because we were stripping so many things away. It just becomes apparent. And so the interesting thing about what your power is, it's also where your one of your greatest weaknesses will also be. It's like Superman with kryptonite. You know what I mean? It's like Superman is Superman, but he got that one thing that takes his power, all of his power. And so the thing that the place where you are most powerful could also be the place where you could be wounded the greatest. And for me, it's my sense of self, how I see myself, how I express that self in the world, and how I support others in seeing themselves. I believe that to be my power. Like I'm gonna make you fall in love with yourself. I'm gonna make you see yourself in a way that you probably have never seen yourself before because I know how powerful you are, because I know how powerful I am. I don't always operate from that place, and God help us all in those days when I'm not. But I'm grateful that I no longer hide it, shy away from it, or think that it's too huge of a responsibility for me to carry. Because if it was too huge, you wouldn't have it. It wouldn't be within you. It wouldn't be the thing that absolutely makes your heart sing, makes you glow from the inside out. And if you're telling yourself, well, I don't know what it is, you absolutely know what it is because it's the reason you are here. It's literally like you were, before you were formed in your mother's womb, you were looking around, it's like, you know what? The earth needs me. Let me get myself together and get on down there and give the earth all that I am because it's necessary and needed. And there is a force that saw that too. And that is one of the things that humbles me, that I was considered to be necessary for this world. You were considered to be necessary for this world at this particular time. And I pray that you get to the business of operating from that place and you don't let anybody else tell you what it is or tell you when it's necessary and needed. That you show up in every relationship, the one you have with yourself, the one when you have with your kids, the one you have with anyone who crosses your path, they see it. And I'm not talking about the physical. I mean the essence of who you are. I remember I was at some function and we were supposed to grab hands, and I grabbed this lady's hand and she said, "Oh, who are you?" And I said the same thing to her. It was like this electricity bounced between the two of us, and we couldn't do anything but just stare at each other like, I don't know what that is, but I know it's a good thing. And that happens when you are operating from that place of authenticity where people see you and not the fake you that you think you have to be in order to survive. Not the you that's easy on the eyes for everyone else. Not the you that you think, well, this is what I think, men want, or this is what I think women want, or this is what I think this job wants, or this is what I think these people want. Be you, incredible, unique you at all times. That is the most powerful thing that each of us possess, the ability to be ourselves at all times. And it doesn't have to be this aggressive energy that we think it has to be. Some of the most powerful people I know are very quiet and still. And there's just this essence about them, this confidence that just reeks from their pores. And it doesn't mean that there aren't moments of uncertainty. And there aren't moments where they're like, who me? You have those moments, but they are few and far between. But when you are healing and all of this chaos and confusion is going on, something is being born. And for anyone who has ever viewed a birth, participated in an actual birth, whether it's human or animal, it ain't pretty. It's painful. There's stuff that is stretching and pulling and popping. And the same is true for each of us who are in a healing moment where we are removing the confines of survival mode. And interestingly enough, if you are in a relationship where it's codependent and you can be very honest, be like, I know that I'm with this person because they pour into me in such a way that I can't pour into myself. And maybe you do the same for them. As you start to become more of who you are, and you recognize that it is no longer necessary for other people to pour into you, that thing might implode. Or or it becomes even more beautiful. And it's one of the things that I love about my relationship with my beloved, that we can sit with each other, talk about what our insecurities are, and say, and I'm working on that, and you're working on yours. And we are committed that as we grow in that, we don't forget that we are creating something beautiful. I don't need that man to pour into me, but Lord have mercy the way he does. I don't need that man to tell me I'm great. I already know that. And so anything that comes from him is that much more sweeter because I know he sees me and hears me, but only because I see and hear myself. Because if there are times when he's not able to do it, he's not able to pour into me, what I'm going to do? Shrivel up? I can't. My assignment in this realm is too important for me to wait for someone else to pour into me before I become great. I will say that again. Your assignment in this realm is far too important for you to wait for somebody else to pour into you to tell you that you are great. You've got to know that for yourself. And so, all of the stuff that we are doing, don't feel bad about it. Acknowledge it and say, okay, there is something greater for me. I don't have to do all of these performances in order to be seen and heard. I have to see myself. I have to hear myself. I have to know the language of my own heart so that I can tell other people what it sounds like. I have to know that. And I have to stop doing the things that get me to this point and then to this point and then to this point. I have to be very clear. I have to be very clear about who I am, what I desire, what I'm fitting to do, and what I'm not fitting to do. What'd you say, sis? I'm not doing a damn thing that I don't want to do. I'm not. And not because I'm at a particular age, but because my power won't allow me to do it. Can't do it. I can't do it. And I'll tell my children that. I'll tell anyone that I cannot do it. I cannot be in relationship with anyone that requires me to deny who I am. I can't do it. I could, and some of us have chosen to do it. It's a heavy price to pay. It is a heavy, heavy price to pay. I love y'all. I don't know if Instagram is still going because, like I said, they're supposed to. I know that Instagram taps out after an hour, and I didn't want to be distracted by going on there to see what's going on, even though I'm doing that now. Um, but I will say this: 2024 is going to look so much greater for each of us who are choosing to come out of survival mode and those of us who are making daily choices to do so. It's not something you do once. It's not something, you know, you sign a piece of paper and you're like, all right. It is something that you have to choose every single day. Every single day. Waking up with an intention of, I'm going to be the best version of myself I can be. And that doesn't mean that it's all going to be rainbow sunshine every day. Sometimes the best version of myself is I stayed in bed all day. I didn't shower. I didn't brush my teeth. I didn't talk to anybody. This is the best that I got today. Tomorrow, I hope it shall be, hopefully, it shall be different. But what I'm not going to do is operate from a place that denies who I am. What I'm not going to do is obligate myself to things that do not serve me, thinking that it's going to get me something, because that is manipulation. And for those of you who joined us to read All About Love, if you have not read that book, I recommend you get All About Love by Bell Hooks. We did that in 2022. And there's a part in there that talked about manipulation and how we all operate from that place and space, and we may not even be aware of it, where we're thinking, if I'm a good person, if I'm a kind person, if I'm a nice person, then I'll get what I'm supposed to get. If that's your mindset, that's manipulation. Hopefully you are a kind person, nice person, good person, because you realize that that is the best version of you. That nasty don't work. Petty is ridiculous. But if you're doing things to get something instead of, this is my natural state of being. This is who I am. I'm not looking to get anything from you. You ain't even got to be nice to me. I don't care. That's not my motivation for being who I am. So when I say yes to doing something, I can do it knowing that I'm doing it because it's the essence of who I am. Not, if I do this, then maybe later on this will work in my favor. They'll do it for me. We have to be very, very clear about what our motivation and inspiration for being who we say we are is. Again, we're going to talk about that in 2024. It's going to be delicious. We're going to take our time and pull things apart, and not because we're horrible people, but because we are already dynamic, already lovely beings. And we deserve it. If your life does not look the way that you desire it to look, then it is your responsibility to create that. There is something that I wrote to myself. I don't know where it is, but I have to remind myself, when love is present, I acknowledge it. And when I think love is absent, that means it's my responsibility to create it. If I think that there is something missing, it's my responsibility to create it. It's not other people's responsibility to give it to me. That's a bonus. I came home all this week. Last week I've been coming home with, gift bags from work and from parents. And so my youngest is like, why do people keep giving you stuff? I said, I don't know. It's not like I asked for it, but I would hope it's because of, I hope it's an acknowledgement of who I choose to be, which is loving and kind and acknowledging the God that I see in all people. God is present in all things. And if God is present in all things and God is present in all people, and if we are not acknowledging the God in other people, then we sure are not acknowledging the God in ourselves. And so I say to you, I see the God in you. I hope you see the God in me. And I pray that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And if I am not, then God will tell me otherwise. And so there are so many people in this chat that I know personally that are living lives that are vastly different from the life that they grew up with. There's a bunch of Black women on this live right now who have left the United States, who are living their best lives in countries and in cultures that are foreign to them. But because of who they are and the essence of who they are, it feels right. It feels right. I love that for y'all. I love that for anyone who has decided I'm going to live an unconventional life because I know what I desire. I know what is best for me. And I'm going to get it and I'm going to create it. That is so courageous to say goodbye to the familiar and to step into the unknown. But there's a knowing that you have that no matter where I am on this earth, I'm going to be me. That's so liberating. That is so liberating. And we could learn a lot from one another, from each other, and how to do that. I am grateful that I have a life that is so absolutely beautiful that it brings me to tears because I did not think it was something that was going to be for me. When I think about the past 10 years and what I have endured, what I've seen, what I've had to do, to think that I have this beautiful life filled with love. Like, I know I'm going back to work on Tuesday and I love what I do. I get to be around some of the most loving individuals. I don't know about y'all, but I get hugs and kisses on my job on a daily basis. I get Miss Yolanda. And that's not just from the kids. And I get, a man that prays with me, prays for me, and is always happy to see me. My dogs are happy to see me. My children are happy to see me. Grandbaby girl is crazy about me. Like, I never would have thought that I would have so much beauty in my life. But first, I had to say to myself, but that's what you deserve. You wouldn't be here if it were not true. It's what you deserve, Yolanda. And so you have to create it, cultivate it, demand it, and make sure it is present in all areas of your life. And if there's something that doesn't look loving, then why would you even consider it to be a part of my experience? Don't want it. I don't want the conversation. I don't want it. I don't want it. And so thank you to each and every single one of you. Again, child, let me tell you, I am rich. I am so incredibly wealthy, so rich, so wealthy, so overwhelmingly happy. And now all I want to do is share it. That's literally all I want to do. I'm gonna keep some for myself, but I absolutely want to share it. And so next year, um, it's I'm not saying it's gonna be easy because I have also chosen my guiding principles for next year. And one of them is study, which to me means I'm going to be learning some things. And that's not always easy for me. Got to be focused. And so, but I'm willing and I'm open. I'm open. I'm open. I just know next year is going to be great and grand for all of us. And I'm never going to say it's going to be hard. It's going to be new because things are not hard. Things are new. And when things are new, it requires you to do things differently. And that can feel foreign. That can feel unsettling. That's why we got to come from our places of power. That's why you need to write letters to yourself. Writing love letters to myself was one of the best things that I could do for my self esteem, telling myself how much I love myself. I appreciate you too. I really do. And if y'all about to go around people that y'all don't like, ask yourself why. Don't go to them people's house when you don't want to be there. I know she's your mother. I know it's your sister, but if you don't want to be over there, don't go. Say, you know what? I love y'all from over here. I pray that within the next 24 hours, within the next week, you are in places and spaces that honor you, love you, that see you as holy, that see the God within you, and that you return the same to all of those that you are around. I love you. Next week, we're going to do 5. We only did 2 today. We're going to do the 5 more, and then we're going to talk about the 15. I said I was going to show them. I'm going to show them real quickly. Um, this all comes from Healing the Child Within by Charles Whitfield. Number 1, child is always innocent. Remember that. Always innocent. All children, all beings deserve care, protection, security, warmth, appropriate skin contact. You deserved it then, you deserve it now. I hope people are touching you appropriately. Number 3, abuse of any form creates a lifelong imprint. If you think you are over that thing that happened, I'm telling you, you may be denying the impact that it has had on you, and it's showing up in different ways. Experience of exploitation. All children are exploited in some form. I talked about it today. We just exploited all the babies and told them to go take a picture with Santa Claus. We put them in the pajamas and take a picture, take a picture, take a picture. It's an exploitation. The intention may not always be traumatic, but sometimes the effects of that are traumatic because it teaches us that our feelings don't matter and that we don't have a voice in the decision making process of things that impact us. Number 5, society will often blame the child for things that have happened. I can't tell you how many times I was blamed for not knowing something when I was a kid. Even if somebody told me 2, 3, 4 times, I'm a child. My attention span is not long. The society will blame children for things that they shouldn't. And again, we carry that into our adulthood by blaming ourselves for things that we either don't know or we never had a chance to develop. Children often make a commitment to heal their parents. It can be an unconscious behavior that we think that if we live our life in a particular way, that somehow it will heal mama's wounds, daddy's wounds, grandmama's wounds. We do it and we don't even ask ourselves why sometimes. Number 7, personality dysfunctions can occur when people repress your childhood wounds. When you don't expose those things that may have hurt you, it will come out as a personality dysfunction. The things that we see people doing right now, trust me, it didn't just start when they were, at the Walmart. That stuff has been with them their whole life. Um, when healing occurs, disruption of old patterns follows. We've been talking about that all day. That survival mode stuff ain't gonna make it, ain't gonna cut it. And then the 2 that we did today, healing emerges in various ways. You might be feeling irritable, and it's actually you healing an old wound. Stay the course. Stay the course. Don't fall back into those old patterns. Don't you call that old boyfriend. Don't you call that old girl just because they're comfortable, and don't do it. Don't friggin' do it. Survival mode no longer works when you are healing, when you are transforming into a thriving being. Survival mode doesn't work. So identify all of the ways in which you've been just surviving. Write it down. Get a journal. If you don't have a journal, that would be one of the best Christmas gifts that you can give yourself so that you can write down these thoughts and feelings and behaviors that you are experiencing so you can take a different look at them. I thank y'all. I love you. Again, for those of you who have congratulated David and I, we can't say thank you enough. Love is real. That's all I know. And I'm grateful for the love that is present in my life. And I'm grateful to share life with someone who sees me, who hears me, who speaks to my heart, and is willing to understand that I am imperfect, and that I do my best, and is willing to give me more than enough opportunities to try love again and again and again and again. I love you, David Harris, and I am looking forward to being Mrs. Harris. I love y'all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We all deserve that. We all deserve that, and I hope that that is one of the messages that comes from um, David and I, is that we all deserve that. It is not just for the few and far between. It is for all of us in the way that works for you. I love y'all. Next Sunday, we'll do the 5 and maybe something else. Enjoy your loved ones, enjoy yourself. Save some time for quiet contemplation about how you're thinking, how you're feeling, how you're behaving. Not everyone is going to enjoy the next couple of days. Please give people grace. We are hurting in ways that we can't always express. I know that I am missing people this time of year. I know that some of you are missing people. Um, so be gentle with yourselves and one another. I love y'all. Continue blessings to you as well, my love. And 2024 is going to look grand for each and every single one of us. I'm sure of it. I love y'all. Bye. Y'all came right back. Bye.